Hey, what's up guys, my name is Anshul and welcome back to another video on this channel. Today in this video, let us discuss about iPhone 15 Pro Max, my usage of this device after 7 days, and let us talk about the good, the bad and the ugly of the smartphone. So without wasting any time, let us get right into this video. Now, I have been using this iPhone 15 Pro Max for a couple of days now, and I can say straight out of the box that Apple got a few things right, but this does not mean that it is a perfect smartphone, and I will get onto this towards the end of this video because a lot of people would have a question that is this smartphone better than the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I will get to it slowly down the road. First thing first, the moment I picked up this smartphone, I could understand what people mean when they say that the phone feels really light, and when I compared it against the iPhone 14 Pro Max from the last year, I could really feel the difference, but it was not to the point where I would say, hey, just throw your iPhone 14 Pro Max and get the new iPhone 15 Pro Max. But yes, the difference is very substantial. Now, this phone actually feels better, lighter and ergonomically better than the previous generation. This means that now the squared off edges are gone and enters the modern design with the tapered edges. The titanium feels really premium on the phone. And yes, this natural titanium color smartphone that I have with me also shows fingerprint, but it is not as noticeable as the one if you would have a blue color smartphone or a black color smartphone this year. There is a good and bad to it. Yes, it feels premium, but yes, if you buy a dark color phone this year, it will be beaten up like the iPhone 5, which was launched back in 2012 with a black aluminum frame. You know what I'm talking about. I had that phone, and after using that phone just for a few months, it was just beaten up by discoloring everywhere. And I think that this iPhone 15 Pro Max could end up in the very same. My favorite color this year is again the natural titanium color, and this is the first time in the long period where I picked up a light color instead of buying a smartphone in a dark color like a green or purple or a blue color. So yes, this one over here is a really attracting one, and if you want to buy a new iPhone this year, just pick this color over here instead of picking up the black or the blue. Now, Apple has improved the display and it has properties of ceramic on it. I won't be testing this smartphone that I have, but you can watch Cherry Rick Everything's video where he shows that the scratches at level 6 of most hardness scale are less, and the same goes for the level 7 where the scratches are not as steep as the ones that we get with the Gorilla Glass Victus 2 and all the other iterations that we have in the market right now. Now, this does not make it an indestructible smartphone as the back glass makes me worry. We will come on to this later in this video, but one difference and the slightest may be the slightly curved display on the front and a bit more brightness, which Apple does not speak about. But when looking at this display versus what we had with iPhone 14 Pro Max, I can definitely say that there is some improvement in the terms of the display quality on this iPhone 15 Pro Max versus the one that we have last year. Well, now you might be thinking that is this phone any different from the iPhone 14 Pro Max from the last year? And well, yes and no. But what is really different and actually right on this smartphone is the inclusion of the Type-C port on the phone. Wow, I love it so much so already, as now I can attach the flash drive to this phone, and also I can connect it to an external microphone for the extreme cases. Also, I can reverse charge my Galaxy Buds on the go when they are running out of battery. I love it, and it is as good as it could be with this USB type inclusion on this smartphone. There is a caveat, but again, there is another part of this video where I would want to talk this thing about. Apple might think that the Pro cameras are the winner here, but I want to clarify that the real winner this year is the inclusion of the Type-C port. So well, yes, welcome to the game, people. Now you can enjoy the Type-C on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the same cable can be used on pretty much every device that you own, and this is just way more fantastic. Now, another thing which is different and for which I have mixed feeling is the action button inclusion. Well, it sits too high for my liking, but it just works. It is so different that Apple actually allows you to map it to almost everything, and there is no restriction that I can find out. For my use, I set it to the portrait video mode permanently, and yes, it is an amazing thing. Now, one thing to notice that if you go to YouTube, you would see so many people giving you different tricks to map the Siri shortcut buttons to this action button, and some of them may be very useful. You can even open application within an application, and there is so much so that you can do with this action button, which makes me feel that yes, finally this feature is amazing, and other companies should bring the same feature to their smartphone as well. Now, next, let us talk about the battery life on this smartphone, and I am just amazed to say that the battery life on this smartphone is just very good. Now, if I compare it to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it is again a big leap, but I would say it is on par with the iPhone 13 Pro Max. That was my favorite smartphone from 2 years ago. But one thing, there is a caveat over here as well, and you knew that this was coming. Now, as soon as I turned on my iPhone, and even without anything, it just made my phone very hot. All I was doing on my phone was just trying to pull up the IMEI number so that I can set up the eSIM. And hey, I do not know what is the issue, but I think that Apple may address in the future builds of iOS. I'm already on iOS 17.0.2, and yes, I could see those battery drain issues sometimes, and even I could see sometimes that the phone just gets really hot. So even though if the battery is a much more improvement on this new iPhone, I would say just wait for a few updates so that Apple fixes this thing, and maybe after a few more updates you will get a better battery life performance on your iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, while talking about the cameras on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, because I know this is something that a lot of people would want to hear, and yes, Apple does make the Pro smartphones thinking of that the best feature on their iPhones is the Pro camera models. But this time around, I would say that the difference is not just a lot in terms of photography, but there is a big leap in the terms of the videography on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, let us start with how the photographs are taken on this new camera. It appears that Apple employs a 48 megapixel full sensor shot for detailed information, along with a separate 12 megapixel full sensor shot using quad lining for noise reduction and improved light capture. The result of this is a robust shot that is taken as a result of some neural capabilities that combine all of these shots, and what you get is a professional grade photography shot that comes out of this smartphone. But the reality is that the difference is not as vast as what you would want to have in comparison to the last year's iPhone 14 Pro Max. Also, I do wish that Apple would provide an indicator for the connection to an external microphone, but the video quality and the photography are still very remarkable, making it nearly the perfect choice of video shooting. The 4K 60fps output is outstanding as well, and the 24 megapixel photographs offer increased detail, increased dynamic range, and better exposure. I have included a few samples comparing the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and you can clearly see the distinction over here. Also, as you already know, that one standout feature of the iPhone 15 Pro Max's camera is the 5x optical zoom, and yes, this is something that consistently outperforms my Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra when I set it up at 5x, 10x and 15x and compared both the results. While I do not require a 100x zoom every time, I'd gladly opt out for the sharper and more color accurate photos that I get out of the iPhone 15 Pro Max every time at 5x optical zoom instead of what I get from the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Again, at 25x is what, when you see that Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra has some extra capabilities that the iPhone just lacks. Also, I noticed that the portrait shots on the iPhone 15 Pro Max now possesses more vibrancy, and the edge detection, particularly for the human subjects, is impressive. Regardless of the camera mode, the iPhone 15 Pro Max excels at capturing highlight without exposing the scene. The ultra-wide camera delivers similar results, and you can even see that the crop for the macro shots with this generation of iPhone is way more better than what we had with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Again, it might be a minor detail to a few users, but for someone like me who loves to have the macro shots, I think it is a win-win situation over here with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Also, one thing that I noticed on this iPhone 15 Pro Max is the ability to change different lenses and different frame rates without even dropping the quality when we change from 4K 60fps to 4K 30fps and so on. So it is a seamless switch, and this is something that I really like about the camera on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. This was not the case with the last year's iPhone, but I can say that this year is a major improvement in this department. Also, my favorite addition to this year's of iPhone 15 Pro Max is the ability to shoot in the colored and the non-colored lock format, and this one over here is just amazing because it is directly coming out from this iPhone 15 Pro Max camera. It provides a higher dynamic range and greater color grading flexibility compared to a linear footage that we already have. Apple has also updated the Final Cut Pro with a similar format so that editing is finally better on this professional graded software. So yes, the Pro cameras come with a Pro feature, that is this lock format that finally I'm loving on the new iPhones. Additionally, on this iPhone 15 Pro Max, you can now shoot in 4K 60 FPS Pro resolution, and this is something that is amazing as well, but you need to keep one thing in mind. Now this feature is already enabled, but you need to ensure that an external hard drive is connected to your iPhone 15 Pro Max to provide sufficient storage. Now, one feature that Apple touted is the anti-glare coating on their lenses. While it may be effective during the daylight, it does not seem to affect in the low lighting condition, because when I was shooting video in the low light, I can still see some glare, and I get it. It is very difficult to get rid of those glares because these camera lenses are just way too small, and doing so much so that what Apple is doing is a great initiative. And yes, kudos Apple for this implementation, and I really love what this implementation is able to do in the daylight situation. Now, everything above seems like that the iPhone 15 Pro Max is the perfect smartphone, but no. After watching various videos online from Cherry Rig and other YouTubers, I am more scared to drop off my phone. The back glass is so weak and does not even have a rigid material structure to support it like the last year's iPhone. It almost seems like Apple made the best phone out this year around, and they want to make more money out of it. You have to pay more money as you are stuck with the 256GB model if you opt for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the difference between 128GB and the 256GB, it should not be 150 Canadian dollar. It is just too much to ask for here. Also, because you already know that the back glass is not as very strong, now you need to buy a case that is very strong in order to counterpart the weakness of that smartphone. And yes, that is another $100 that you pay upfront to make sure that when the phone drops, it does not break. Now I use this mouse case, and I just simply love the look and feel of this case over here. It is not a sponsored video, but yes, you have to buy it, because you know, if you do not buy it and if you drop your smartphone, it might be the last day of the glass bag of this smartphone, and you need to pay more money to the Apple Store in order to get a replacement. The Type-C is amazing, but it is not Thunderbolt compatible. The A17 Pro Bionic chip can do a lot, but not everyone is going to play Resident Evil on the phone. The phone comes with thinner bezels, but not the one that we were thinking of that would have 2500 nits of peak brightness, touting as the next generation of the OLED displays on the iPhone. That is not being possible this year around, and that was one thing that I really wanted to see the iPhones to push this year around. Also, the white and the natural titanium colors look no different if you look from far, and there could be a different color option that could be added up to the lineup. So well, yes, on to the verdict of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now it is quite a simple answer. If you have the iPhone 14 Pro Max, I would say the iPhone 15 Pro Max is just a minor improvement over that smartphone, with addition of an action button, a USB Type-C port, and new materials to start with. Now it might be a good smartphone, but it might turn out to be a smartphone that has some durability issues towards the end of the life cycle of this product. But yes, if you're upgrading from something like iPhone 11, I would say just go ahead and buy the iPhone 15 Pro Max, because yes, it is a wonderful smartphone, and this is something that I would really recommend to all of my friends. But if your budget is not too very good, and if you want to just buy a latest iPhone, go with the iPhone 15, because it has almost everything that the iPhone 14 Pro Max had the last year, and it has some improvement in the terms of how the photography is handled, and it has the USB Type-C port as well. So well, yes, that was all about this video. I hope you like this one, and if you like this video, do not forget to subscribe to this channel. My name is Anshul. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.